I know, I'm late to this one, but the Netflix documentary Dance with the Devil is a must watch as it showcases the dark and raw side of how cults work and the damaging effects on loved ones. Watching this was an absolutely amazing experience, and today I'm going to share my personal analysis and breakdown of the entire series as someone who has been in a cult before. While I wasn't in a religious cult like the documentary, I was a neo-Nazi for 7 years, and unsurprisingly, there are a number of parallels between the two. This will be a unique perspective on the entire series that I've been excited to share with all of you. Let's get into it. The documentary starts off with showcasing the Wilkins sisters, Melanie and Miranda. We get to see a glimpse of their life before any introduction to 7M management or Shekinah Church. They were social media dance influencers who had begun to captivate their own corner of the internet. The relationship between them was seemingly inseparable. Both of them come from a seemingly healthy family. Nothing before their introduction seemed off about them. Seemingly normal people born to seemingly normal people. Slowly, it starts to show how Miranda's involvement in Shekinah and 7M has been negatively affecting the family. 7M is an artist management company and the face of Shekinah Church, the religious cult the documentary centers around. The Wilkins sisters, like all other dancers 7M attracted, had aspirations of being professional dancers. 7M offered them community, money, fame, a home, management, and so much more. The dancers flocked to this opportunity because who wouldn't? The music industry was my full-time work for 8 years. Part of my work at this time was as an artist manager. What 7M offered these artists was a standard management contract deal. 20% is the norm for a management company. It's the same in the music industry. 7M offered them community, somewhere they could hang around other famous dancers and influencers they looked up to. A band's manager, agent, or label does the same. 7M gave them an offer any artist in the right role would be happy to take. Robert Shinn and Shekinah sold these artists the dream. I don't blame them one bit for taking advantage of it. It was a seemingly smart career move. Regardless of which end of the entertainment industry you work, most of it is individual contractor work, meaning you get paid per job. Everything artists and back-end alike in that industry do and work is intended to get them to the next step or more work. This happens through networking opportunities like the ones Robert Shinn offered. For the dancers, seeing such a collection of high-value influencers who join 7M, no part of them joining is misunderstood. We see the stories of Melanie and Priscilla Lee, or Mel and Pri, introduced. Two former Shekinah members who would seek this community out, needing a place to call home. Mel was introduced first, her sister Pri followed next. Both of them found a home they didn't find elsewhere. They found purpose, they found friends, they found direction, something their life hadn't presented to them at this point. I can relate to this as a former skinhead. I wanted something more than what I had, something deeper, stronger. I found it through white supremacy. I found direction and purpose just like Mel and Pri did. The community was encouraging in a way those around me were not. The bonds I created with people were seemingly richer. I thought my relationships with them had more value than my relationships where that wasn't an element. It was alluring. It was seductive. Eventually, after extremely inappropriate behavior from Robert, Melanie decided to leave Shekinah. She tried to take her sister Pri with her, but Pri rejected. In her mind, she had worked way too hard to escape the fire and brimstone narrative Robert sold her. It took her being repeatedly berated by Robert's wife, Catherine, while Robert sat back and allowed for it to happen, for Pri to realize she needed to leave. Other members like Nick Rhino, Kylie Douglas, and Aubrey Fisher had their stories explored, and over, just like with the Lee sisters, just like with the Wilkins sisters, you see the same repeated themes come up again and again. Based solely off the documentary, there are 3 main themes that were seen among all 7M and Shekinah members. 1. Some form of necessity was filled. 2. 7M and Shekinah offered a community that was desirable. 3. There was a match in idealism. We see more of the necessity angle played with the Lee sisters. The Lee sisters were poor Koreans looking for community and a place to call home. In the Korean culture, it's common to find this place at church. Church for them isn't just a place of worship, it's a place where the racial community congregates. We see the same necessity filled with the dance influencers. Kylie Douglas talks about the struggles of being a starving artist in that world, along with Aubrey Fisher. They discuss the stressful reality of having to wear so many different hats in the entertainment industry. I can't speak for dancers, but I know bands have to be their own marketing agents, merch designers and distributors, managers, agents, all the while being an artist. It's a difficult field to go into, and I imagine dancers face a similar struggle. The community aspect is repeatedly shown in every story of Shekinah members, old and current. For the Wilkins sisters, Miranda found her husband James, or B-Dash, another dance influencer, and he was her introduction to the church. With this new romantic interest, Miranda got sucked further into the idealism of the church. Her community switched from her family and the influence they brought to the table to Robert, B-Dash, and Shekinah. It happened as fast as she seemed to fall in love with B-Dash. Her romantic engagement with him undeniably played a huge role in her introduction to 7M. None of this is to say B-Dash is responsible. He's a victim of cult abuse just as much as Miranda or the Lee sisters. And last, idealism. While the Wilkins sisters didn't have a particularly religious background, many of the other dancers did. Robert offering them a solid management deal with famous influencers, money, home, community, and he's a man of God, many of them would be eager to sign up, most likely hoping someone with a strong Christian background would uphold his values with a sense of integrity and dignity. Unfortunately, they were wrong. Robert Shinn turned out to be nothing more than a con man and hustler. This is not to dismiss his intelligence. Cult leaders like Robert are not dumb people. There was an entire system set up for him to con people into working for basically free. Pre talks about earning millions for them as a real estate broker, and she was paid between $40 and $80 a week. He was able to maintain all of this, while, on the outside, looking like an upstanding member of society. Just look at the manipulation he did to the artists with 7M. 20% to management is normal, but 30% and more to a church, one he owns? Yeah, about that. The dancers seem to understand that 20% to a management company is normal. And it is. But some of these dancers were of lower income status. When they started seeing the dollar signs pouring in, they got excited. Imagine you've been broke your entire life, and now this management company is not only getting you paid, but also giving you opportunity. The dancers, in their excited ignorance, saw the 30% as a rite of passage for them. It seemed worth it for what they were getting out of it. Even his idea of die for this, the idea that you should be willing to kill off your younger self in such a way that you abandon the people you love and trust, as it happened for Miranda and Kylie. The idea of total dedication to your cause, your space, your career, your God, requires you to leave behind a positive environment is the easiest giveaway that something was off. I was fortunate to not have an isolated experience like the dancers did. Being in that community nonstop would offer little opportunity to leave it behind. Keep in mind, that's where these dancers lived. This documentary showcases the massive impact this type of tragedy causes to those who are involved. You see the Wilkins parents and the suffering they have gone through throughout this process. I don't know about you, but when the father talked about holding the door open and not wanting to let her go, that hit me. It's a story every person who tried to stop someone from moving through hell knows all too well. You don't want to hurt them. You want to protect them. You see the outside perspective they're unable to see, but you're captivated from the fear that you might be doing something worse to them. It's the parent trying to drag their kid from a crack house. It's the friend trying to get her friend to leave an abusive relationship. It's someone doing what they can to help this person who is so lost, so off the righteous path, try to find the right way. The families of cult members can and do suffer as the Wilkins parents did. The Lee sisters experienced the same. Kylie Douglas, B-Dash, all of them have families dramatically impacted by this kind of tragedy. In the aftermath of the documentary, Miranda Wilkins has come forward and stated she has been receiving numerous threats from various sources. For the people going after her, are you completely robbed of compassion? Have you become so blinded by what's trendy you fail to see the lack of humanity those people are being exposed to? A woman who is undeniably being abused has been attacked and slandered for being a victim. The fuck is the matter with you all? Show her and the rest a sense of compassion, empathy, and humanity. Give them the gift they have been robbed of for years. They need it. Anyone and everyone is susceptible to this. We all like to think we're above it, smarter than this. You're not. You are one breakup, one job loss, one move away to a new city from being introduced to a cult. It takes a wildly unique person to go against the grain once you're sucked in. It could be your best friend who introduces you, a family member, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a trusted religious leader, a neighbor, a boss, a coworker. Doesn't matter. If you are vulnerable and the right opportunity presents itself, you can end up there too. The friends I made in the white supremacy world were people who were in so many ways just like me. People who appreciated history. People who liked weapons. People who, in some way or another, found comfort in chaos. This alliance became incomparably easier to have once I saw how many were similar to the person I used to be. We had similar tastes in music, similar tastes in movies, similar party hard habits. The guys in the movement were often drug users, like I was. They were often metalheads, which I was. They often came from broken homes, which I could relate to. We had a soul-like connection, as cheesy as it might sound. Everyone who gets involved in cults either loses their formal community or has no trusted circle to begin with. If you get anything from this documentary, it's this. It's so insanely vital to make sure you have a trusted group around you to keep you in check. If you admire these people, trust these people, they can help you see through the manipulations Robert and Shekinah offered. If everyone around you is saying something is off, something is off. Not probably off. There's something not quite right about it. Trust your trusted circle. Make sure they exist to begin with.